This is not just random stuff. When are the people going to wake up and realize we're dealing with an orchestrated attempt to terrorize the Jewish community that comes from those Iranian agents?
You didn't answer my question. I'm asking if this was a targeted anti-Semitic attack or, as your new deputy says, a random act of violence. Why won't you answer that?
No, I think it's very clear this was targeted at a synagogue. It's very clear.
Okay, well, I'm glad you corrected your deputy.
Very clear.
Just wondering if there's been an uptick in attacks against the Muslim community as well.
Ezra Levant here from Rebel News. I'm back out front the Shaarei Shamayim synagogue in Toronto, Canada, where on the Jewish Sabbath it was attacked by unknown gunmen who shot it up. At almost the exact same time, a similar attack happened in Thornhill, which is north of Toronto, at a very large synagogue there too. I understand there may have actually been people inside the synagogue in Thornhill that was shot at. Because the Jewish Sabbath precludes many people who are Jewish from participating in activities like work, the press conference by a number of politicians was held today, Sunday, outside this synagogue. And it had a lot of high-ranking politicians, of course not the mayor. The mayor, Olivia Chow, is sympathetic to the pro-Hamas and pro-Ayatollah regime, so she never attends Jewish events. But others were here, including Gary Anandasangaree, the Liberal public safety minister, who incredibly used to be a lawyer for a terrorist group, and so he has to recuse himself from various terrorism files. He was here, which was very bizarre. I tried to ask him a question, and he ran away from me back into the synagogue. I guess he found sanctuary. There was a press conference, and at it spoke different politicians. For example, Michael Kersner, the Solicitor General of Ontario, who keeps saying, everything's fine, I'm a Jew wearing my yarmulke, that's proof everything's fine. It's sort of gross, but that's his role in life, I guess, is to provide cover for when politicians simply don't do anything to stop the latest shooting spree. There have been 3 times that a Jewish girls' school was attacked by gunfire. There are synagogues in this city that have been attacked 10 times with vandalism. And, you know, it's just, there's not even an alarm being rung. Here, let me give you an example. One of the people who spoke today was Myron Demke, the chief of police. And just a couple days ago, his new deputy chief had a press statement where he said he compared the targeted terror-style shootings of synagogues. This is the 3rd in a week, by the way. He compared it to random violence on the subway. And then he went on to say that, you can't expect us to move police off other files. They're important too. So he did 3 things in about 2 minutes, the new deputy chief. He said, this is like a random act of violence. There's no proof this is anti-Semitic terrorism. It's just a random shooting. He said that it's not important enough to put police on. There's more than 5,000 officers in Toronto, but this wasn't important enough to move any more on. And in the same way, he telegraphed to the terrorists that, hey guys, don't worry, there's certainly not going to be any police stationed outside. If you take a look at that insane statement by the new deputy chief.
We do not have infinite resources. We could not tomorrow, even if we wanted to, put a police officer on every corner of every corridor that is what we could call a Jewish community area. So we have to be as economical, as efficient as we can. We are, as I said, we are maximizing the deployment. We are drawing police officers away from other work to attend to this. But we cannot shut the entire city down. I mean, and police will do everything that police can do, but that falls short of offering a guarantee that I could never offer any community in Toronto. A guarantee. Like, how could I do that?
Well, I put that to Myron Demke, the chief of police. I asked him if he agrees with his deputy that this is just some random act of violence that is part of the general crime wave. Demke, not surprisingly, didn't answer me, so I pressed him again, and then I pressed him a 3rd time. Here, take a look at me asking him some questions. Chief Demke, Ezra Levant from Rebel News. A couple of days ago, your new deputy chief compared a synagogue shooting to a random act of violence on the subway. He also said that there are so many other demands, it's not like he can move police resources to this file. Do you stand by his statements that this was a random act of violence as opposed to an organized, targeted terror event? And do you agree with him that you just can't move resources to this?
Well, as far as the investigation goes, listen, it's Not something that when it's this active, the chief's going to comment on specifics. We'll follow the evidence, we'll present the evidence as it becomes available. And what's important is to recognize that we will make every resource necessary available, not just to the investigators, but also to our uniform visible presence that's required to not only help our communities feel safe, but to do everything we can to ensure the safety of our communities.
You didn't answer my question. I'm asking if this was a targeted anti-Semitic attack or, as your new deputy says, a random act of violence. Why won't you answer that?
No, I think it's very clear this was targeted at a synagogue. It's very clear.
Okay, well, I'm glad you corrected your deputy.
Very clear about the anti-Semitic nature and the hateful nature of this act, and we will not stand for it, and we will not tolerate it.
Will you deploy a police officer here like York Region has done as well?
We have provided police officers here extensively. We'll continue to do that. We are committed to doing that. We have been since October 7th, and we'll continue to maintain that presence and increase it as required.
There were a few speeches that were thoughts and prayers and not worth showing, but I thought that some of the remarks by the Deputy Mayor of Toronto, an Italian-Canadian man named Mike Cole, who has a Jewish demographic in his council ward, I thought he actually had the best comments today. Here, let me show you an excerpt from him.
But despite all the incredible work and caring of the Toronto Police, they cannot do this alone. This is not a local police matter. This is internationally inspired, funded, directed attack on the Jewish community. When will we wake up to that fact? It's not good enough to make speeches or propose laws now. We've been asking for a combined task force for the last couple of years. No response from our federal, provincial help to help us on that. It's about time people realize that our Toronto police cannot do this alone. They need the OPP, the RCMP, CSIS on the ground here to combat internationally funded, directed terrorism that is terrorizing not only the Jewish community, it's terrorizing the people of Toronto and Canada. So enough with the speeches. Let's get some resources in here yesterday to tell the terrorist-inspired agitators this is not going to continue.
Well, after the speeches, I tried to ask Gary Anandasangaree, the public safety minister, if he had read the letter from Israel's Minister for Diaspora Affairs and Anti-Semitism, Amichai Shikli, a few months ago, warning Canada of looming terrorism. That's all I want to know. Did you get the letter from the Israeli cabinet minister warning about terrorism in Canada? Did you read it? Did you respond? And he bravely ran away. He bravely ran into the synagogue. Minister, did you get that letter from Amichai Shikli, the minister of Diaspora Affairs? She sent you a letter warning about terrorism in Canada. Are you going to reply to his letter, sir? Why are you running away? And there was one more MP named Maggie, who is the member of parliament for the district where that Temple Emmanuel synagogue was shot at. It's hard to keep track. There's so many synagogues being shot at. It's almost a daily occurrence, 3 times in 5 days. And one of the things I heard from Mike Cole is that they need some help. They do need more police. There's the Ontario Provincial Police. There's the federal RCMP. So I saw Maggie Chi, this Liberal MP, and I asked her, does she support giving some RCMP manpower to this? And she sort of, well, here, I'll let you watch for yourself. Are you the local MP for the Temple Emmanuel?
Yes, I am.
What do you think about the call for help for resources from the federal government? Would you advocate for more police resources from the federal government?
We continue to advocate for coordination of all levels because this is an awful incident that happened and enough is enough. This has to stop. And my car is here.
Sure, I'll help you find it while we talk.
Yeah, absolutely.
But they asked for more police resources. Do you think the RCMP would assist with that at all?
I think the minister has made it very clear that the resources will... Oh, sorry, let me just...
I think you're avoiding my question.
This made it very clear that we're coordinating, right? Even with the local folks.
But not coordinating. They want more police. Would you support RCMP police protecting the Jews? Why are you running away from that
I'm not
easy
running
question?
away. I'm
Sure you are.
looking for my car, but I
Car's not going to be around here, is it, though?
I agree that the coordination needs to happen.
No, you're using the word coordination, but everyone wants more police. Why are you avoiding that question? Yeah, maybe your car's inside the synagogue, you little coward. Run away. You cowardly lady. Yeah, I don't know. Something tells me that the liberals really don't give a damn, and they believe in thoughts and prayers and coordination, but not actually doing anything. I want to show you one last interview I did. I started talking to Mike Cole, and a couple other city councilors chimed in. I thought it was actually a pretty good discussion, and it showed me that not all Torontonians, not all Toronto civic leaders, not all politicians are fine with things. There are some who really do want to go beyond just thoughts and prayers, and they had some specific ideas. Let me run for you about 5 minutes of my interview with them. Well, can I ask you a quick question about your speech? First of all, I thought it was the best speech of the day because you actually called for something tangible, actual police deployment. Why isn't it happening?
It's happening because everybody's passing the buck. The feds saying this is a local issue. The province is saying, local issue. Like James and I, from the firebombing of the Jewish supermarket 3 years ago, we said we need this to be treated like an act of terror. And the RCMP said, no, it's not us. It's not us. The police matter. We've had the Jewish day school shot at twice.
3 times, yeah.
3 times. We've had these synagogue shootings. We've had a Jewish career college on Almas shot at the other day. We've had Jewish businesses shot at. So we're saying this is not just a local thing. It's so obvious. It's happening at the synagogues in York Region and here, synagogues in Councillor Chernis Lynn's area. This is not just random stuff. When are the people going to wake up and realize we're dealing with an orchestrated attempt to terrorize the Jewish community that comes from those Iranian agents? That's where it's coming from.
You're speaking very boldly about these things, and perhaps it's because of the demographics of your riding. Can you help me understand why others won't do so? I mean, I'm not asking you to explain the mayor, but the mayor is not here today. And I'm worried that the demographics of this city cause other councilmen to shy away from speaking bluntly.
Go
I
ahead.
disagree. I'm someone who has different demographics in my riding.
What's your name?
Rachel Chernis Lynn.
And what's your
I represent
district?
Don Valley West,
Okay.
Ward 15. I'm a counselor.
Okay.
And I have a very large Muslim community, and I have no problem standing up against this. I've had shots fired in my ward at Temple Emmanuel. I have Kehillat Sharei Torah. It has been struck 10 times. Not only do I discuss it in the north of my ward, where there are Jews and Persians and Chinese families and Taiwanese families and
but how about it?
But I talk about it in Thorncliffe Park too.
But do you talk about it where it
all over.
matters? Would you talk
And I
about it with the police chief?
I talk about it with Myron Demke regularly.
And what does he say?
Listen, I was in Poland and Israel with Myron Demke. We did a learning trip.
Thanks, but what about here in Toronto?
But I will tell you that he is certainly committed to uncovering, as you heard today, unturning every stone. But I will tell you, we need more than simply boots on the ground from Toronto Police. You've heard from my colleagues today. Our city has been spending so much money protecting the Jewish community, and I'm not saying it isn't worth it. It is worth it. But it also is at the expense of other parts of Toronto where we also see crime. We need more.
How is the public safety minister? What has the public safety minister done?
Well, that's a great question. I'm not in the federal government. That's why you've heard my colleagues today, Mike Cole and James Pasternak and myself and Toronto City Council passed unanimously a motion asking for a task force that includes the RCMP, CSIS, the federal government, the OPP, the provincial government, and City of Toronto working collaboratively to ensure that adequate resources are put towards this so that Canada, Toronto, Ontario, Jews everywhere, and communities everywhere are safe.
Councillor Pasternak, you had something to say?
Yeah, I would say that you've got the political elites who are not speaking out for 2 main reasons. One is there's one group that is scraping the barrel for a few extra votes, and then there's another group who are afraid. And until there's unanimity of purpose and unanimous condemnation of this violence in our city, it will continue. And I can also tell you the federal government has inspired these mobs on the streets by recognizing the state of Palestine, by saying they will arrest the Prime Minister of Israel, and by demonizing the state of Israel in its current form. So that is not helpful at all. That makes our city more dangerous.
I asked the chief about his new deputy's comments about just not having troops to spare to station a guard here. What do you think about that?
Well, for a city of 3 million, our force is quite small. It's about 5,500 officers. We've added another 500.
Should the OPP be doing something, or the RCMP?
Absolutely,
The OP,
they're MIA. You know, James and I have been saying, we've had these terrorist-inspired agitators. They occupied a neighborhood in Toronto, Avenue Road and 401, for 4 months. And we kept on begging the OPP to come in and help. They refused.
Why? What was their
They
excuse?
said it's not our job, it's a local matter. They always give the excuse, it's the city. Meanwhile, these are internationally organized hate terrorists. And so we've been saying that for years. Every time they do something, we get an excuse from the feds, an excuse from the OPP. So it's, as I've said, it's enough of these excuses.
Right. And, you know, we've got mobs that come up every Sunday afternoon to Bathurst and Shepherd. And when they're in the mood, they go into the neighborhood to terrorize the local residents. And we are spread so thin that we need the intelligence of CSIS and the RCMP, and we need boots on the ground from
And
the
money.
OPP. And we need the foreign funding cut off.
Yeah.
Because these mobs are foreign funded
Now look at
and
all
domestic funded.
Look at all the crypto shops, Iranian crypto shops up Yonge Street, funneling money back and forth between the regime in Iran and Toronto. Why are these 30 crypto shops still operating in impunity and laundering money and financing this activity? What other proof do you need?
Well, my last moment was when I saw my own member of parliament, Roman Baber, who is a Jewish MP himself, and I asked him if he'd share a few thoughts with me. Here's what he said. Do you want to say a few words about what's going on?
No, that's right. Thank you.
Yeah, that was a little bit weird. Anyways, I have very little hope. The Liberals are atrocious. The police chief is atrocious. Most of the politicians are atrocious. The Solicitor General is atrocious. But I am glad to see that there are some city councillors who actually do give a damn. And I think if I had to come up with a constructive idea for what can be done, I think it has to be declared a terrorist incident and treated that way, not just a random act of violence like the new deputy chief is treating it. And I think that pressure should be put on the Ontario Provincial Police and the RCMP to deploy police at Jewish synagogues and schools. If we believe the Toronto Police that they're overstretched, and I have no doubt that they are, why aren't the RCMP and the OPP involved? We have almost daily shootings. Someone's going to be murdered pretty soon. And we heard that soon there's going to be that Iran-sponsored Al-Quds Day hate fest. I mean, you've got a war overseas, and you've got 700 Iranian agents running around in Canada completely unmolested by law enforcement. I think a first step would be for the OPP and the RCMP to attend en masse at this Al-Quds Day, arrest anyone committing crimes, and frankly, they should be deported. But we all know that's not going to happen. I mean, the two Liberals here today, Maggie and Gary Anandasangaree, both ran away from me, very cowardly. What made me laugh is that Maggie thought maybe her car was parked inside. Although I got to tell you, Roman Baber, he ran away too. You know, I put my 3 questions, and I'm glad I had a chance to do so. I think it's because the press conference was outdoors, so it would be much harder to stop me from attending, as opposed to the Toronto Police, who like to throw Rebel News out of press conferences. But I was standing next to a reporter from the Toronto Star, and I didn't catch his name. I'll try and look it up. So we've just had 3 synagogues in 5 days being shot terrorist style. It's a 5-alarm fire. And I swear to God, this Toronto Star reporter, he asks if the police are worried about a rise in Islamophobia.
Just wondering if there's been an uptick in attacks against the Muslim community as well. I heard from the National Council of Canadian Muslims that there has been an uptick. I was going to confirm with you if there has been, and if the same sort of deployment of officers is going to be towards the community. It's a very complicated issue.
Yeah, I think you raise an important point for how we deploy our members, and we deploy our members throughout the city to meet the threats that we face throughout the city, and that will also continue. We have been visiting with members of the Muslim community as required, and we have had engagement that has spoken to their community concerns as well.
You couldn't script a more woke Toronto Star question. You're at a press conference at a synagogue with bullet holes in the window. Third synagogue attacked in 5 days, and the Toronto Star, hey man, what are we doing about all this Islamophobia? Yeah, that's the Toronto Star for you. Anyways, that's my report from the streets. I shouldn't be laughing or smiling, but you got to find something to laugh at. What's the alternative? To cry? For Rebel News, I'm Ezra Levant.